Mesopotamians studied the effect of the planetary movements from the Sun to Saturn on human affairs. These collective movements could help a country prepare for peace or war or natural disaster. We know this kind of astrological practice was for sure going on in 2000 BC. However, something was missing. Early astrologers wanted to know about their individual lives too. By 500 BC, the Babylonians had developed a simple form of personal astrology and were casting natal charts for ordinary people. So, how did they bring the planets down to Earth? How did they make the general movements personal? Well, they decided to use the sky itself as context. That made sense. If the planets had meaning, shouldn't the sky in which you find them mean something too? They divided the sky around the Earth into 12 sections, 6 in the dome above them and 6 in the sky they couldn't see on the other side of the Earth. But why 12? This goes back to the word horoscope itself. It comes from the Greek horoskopos, meaning in consideration of the hour. We're talking 2,500 years ago. Nobody had a timepiece. The sundial had just been brought into public use. Time was measured by the movement of the sun alone. The segments that we refer to as houses today were called watches back then. Those were 2-hour increments as the sun crossed overhead. The houses are remnants of those 2-hour periods. There are 12 2-hour increments in a 24-hour day. And that matches the 12 signs of the zodiac that correspond with the 12 months of the year. That's where the houses came from. Now, I want to give a brief overview of how they're figured. And how that occurs depends upon what house system you're using. There are currently 53 different officially accepted house systems. But don't get overwhelmed because most of the 53 are never used. You'll never see them. Many were created just for specific astrological research projects, or they're extremely esoteric. We end up with just 2 house systems that are universally known in the English-speaking world. We have the equal house system and the unequal house system. The unequal house system shows the true sizes of the houses because unless you were born on the equator, some of your houses will be bigger or smaller than others. The equal house system makes every house the same size as if you were born on the equator. This house system also has to be used when people are born in latitudes so far north or so far south that their houses are very small or even disappear. But for most of us born in most of the world, the house system we use boils down to a preference. The system you choose might move a planet from the 12th house to the first, and you might feel that that's more appropriate for you. The nice thing here is that both the equal and unequal house systems are calculated in the same way, meaning they have the same starting point, the same backbone. The houses begin with two simple lines. These lines are called the angles of the chart. One of the angles is the horizon line. Since antiquity, this line has been considered the most important line in the wheel, and there's good reason for that. In the ancient world, the stars rose and set. The dots of light and the disks all moved constantly. The horizon was the only thing that remained stable. The horizon also divides the half of the earth that's light from the half that's dark. It's an important line. And of course, we pay special attention to one side of the horizon, the eastern horizon. This is where the new day starts. So it is considered the beginning of the wheel, and we call that the ascendant or the rising. So the horizon line is a super big deal. However, to create a wheel, you have to have a line intersecting the horizon. So we do something logical. We draw another line that's coming down from the highest point overhead. Now that you have the angles crossing, you're able to draw a circle. So now what we have is a wheel with the first four divisions. These sections are called the four quadrants. The rest of the lines either show the true way the houses look from your birthplace on Earth, as in the unequal house system, or how they would look if you were born on the equator, as in the equal house system. Back in the 80s, in order to cast a chart, you had to have 3 different books and a pad and pencil to do the math. You either had to have a protractor and a ruler to make your own chart, or you bought a packet of empty houses at the metaphysical bookstore. Now you just open a program, select if you want equal houses or unequal houses, and enter the birth data. So you don't actually have to understand how the houses are created or even know the differences among house systems. All you have to do as an astrologer is read or interpret the houses. For that, you need to know what each house means. So let's start at the beginning. The natal wheel symbolizes an individual life. The division of the wheel tells us something important about life. It says that life is divided into sections or parts. It's rare to find someone who doesn't live a divided life because we naturally see life this way. Our language shows it. We say, "How's your love life?" Or "My social life is dead," or "What shape is your sex life in?" We have a work life, a home life, a marital life. We have a daily life, a financial life, and a spiritual life. Some of the delineations are stark and some are more nuanced, but astrology divides life up into 12 different areas. The last thing to understand is that there's a mundane level to each house and a psychological level to each house. On the mundane level, the house stands for a setting, a stage, an environment. On a deeper level, each house has an inner, more abstract meaning. Let me give you an example. There's a part of the chart that's dedicated to home and family, the fourth house. This house includes your literal home and the type of home you feel is natural. It stands for the home you grew up in and the atmosphere of your family of origin. These are aspects of your home, your foundation, that exist or existed in real life. However, there's also a psychological component to this house that covers your attitudes about home and family, your experience of your family life, and the foundation on which you stand psychologically. You see, your literal, real home and family is in the fourth house, but subjective inner ideas and ideals are found in the house of home too. This way, if you've always lived on the street and never had a birth family, you can still express a fourth house because it means more than the setting alone. Each house is multi-layered, and that's what makes the houses the most complex part of astrology. In the intro to astrology video, I said that astrology is made up of planets, signs, and houses. And while the houses are essential, they're difficult to understand, and so I put them to the side. And 105 videos later, we're finally at a point where we can broach this topic. You can expect a video dedicated to the meaning of each one of the 12 houses. Thank you for watching Secrets from an Astrologer's Desk, Learning Astrology, Lesson 14. Stay tuned for all the ways you can get in touch for a birth chart reading and full astrological services. I'm Joy. A video on the first house to come.